It's like he forgot what he was doing was illegal. I mean, and it's total self-snitching. And every one of these videos, every one of these Instagram posts, every one of these, ha ha ha, you gotta check in or it's gonna get hot, all that is gonna bite him in the
Man, we are at the point where the lawyers from all over the country, the criminal defense lawyers from all over the country, have gotten a hold to the RICO indictment filing by the DOJ against Big U Enterprises and all of the alleged conspirators and co-conspirators. And I just want to go on the record as saying first, maybe I'm not even the first to say this, but it's not looking good. I recently was sent a video by a lawyer who reacts to criminal indictments on YouTube. His name is Bruce Rivers. Shout out to Bruce. Bruce Rivers, basically in about 5 minutes, the video's like 48 minutes long, but in about 5 to 7 minutes, Bruce Rivers made it clear that the chances of these guys getting off for this indictment are next to none.
I'm Bruce Rivers, your very own board-certified criminal defense lawyer. Today we are reacting to the Rolling 60s indictment in LA. Rolling 60s is a gang out in the gang. It's a club. It's not a gang. It is a bunch of people who are getting indicted for RICO in the LA area.
Bruce brought some perspective to the situation that I believe is seriously lacking in our community. It's seriously lacking in the media content that we are consuming concerning this indictment of Big U and his co-conspirators.
And Big U, it's in South Central Los Angeles, and it kind of started in '85 or thereabouts. And Big U is one of the figures in the industry who came directly from the street, according to Boss Valtown. But he is from the Arlington and Slauson, which is known as the 60s territory. The Arlington gang was led by Big U's cousin Chili Capone, and as time went on, Arlington guys would call themselves Rolling 60s as they were from the same area. Now here's the thing. Big U and Chili did not start the gang, but they were like the second generation. These are not people to mess with, and they all have, a teardrop, not necessarily a teardrop, but they have earned one anyway. You know what that means. And Big U, who's like their main guy, claims not to have any directly he said he didn't directly join the 60s, but that the affiliation was a natural one as he was an AG member, Arlington gang member, and he built his reputation on being an excellent fighter, learning martial arts, growing up, and possessing natural leadership skills. And when Chili Capone died, they all die young, right? He became the next leader of the AGs, or Arlington gang, and as the years went on, that just kind of morphed into the Rolling 60s. So they've indicted about 20 guys. I'm doing one right now where they've indicted well over 45 guys, and they're continuing to indict people. They're pulling people out of prison who are serving 30-year sentence on a homicide to indict them on a murder case, so they never get out. I'm telling you, this is not. If you're sitting there thinking, "Hey, it's a cool idea to be in a gang," or if you're thinking, "I have to do this," think again, because this is happening all over the country. As the crack epidemic came in, the focus shifted to getting money, which brought more enemies meant more firearms, and the gangs now had unlimited access. Big U would also rob dealers, and after attempting to rob and uncover an officer who posed as a dealer, he was sent to prison for 23 years, serving only 12 before going to prison. Big U managed to corrupt in 1990, who would go on to sign with Death Row Records after Big U went to prison. All these guys go to prison.
When you understand that the federal government in cahoots with local law enforcement and state law enforcement have a rap sheet on these people stretching back to the 1980s, you understand that everyone who was on board with Big U, they were nothing more than people who were boarding a plane or a ship that was already sinking. This is like seeing the Titanic on the verge of capsizing and hopping off of a lifeboat back onto the Titanic with all your luggage and your bags, your clothes and everything, and entering the ship, finding a room, putting your things away, and then laying on the bed. This ship has been sinking for over 20 years. And you have people who are trying to argue the innocence or at least approach things in a way that casts doubt on the guilt of some of these people who are directly involved with Big U. I mean, Bruce Rivers basically says everything these dudes were doing is self-snitching. It was self-snitching. He literally brought out what we already know.
You hear all the organizations involved in this case? You get a lawyer involved. First of all, I guarantee you these guys don't have a lot of money. I mean, some might have a little bit of money, but certainly not anywhere near the resources that the federal government has. That's for damn sure. And not only that, you don't have the resources that all these different agencies that have specializations within their own departments, like the IRS, like the Postal Service, like the Gang Strike Force, like the U.S. Attorney's Office and the District Attorney's Office. So if you look at Operation Drawdown, you've got 19 there, and we're going to black out their names because I just don't think it's fair to plaster that shit all over the place when you haven't been convicted of anything yet. But look at the people up there. You got the IRS, you got the LAPD, you got the U.S. Attorney's Office, you've got Department of Justice. You know, you've got all these different logos.
The Department of Justice, the federal authorities, local law enforcement are now mining social media for incriminating evidence on these different gangster personalities, these different bangers and criminals. And they basically are mining pure gold when it comes to finding evidence that can be used against these people in an indictment.
You're in a gang, guess what? You're going to prison or you're going to die, one of the two. And it doesn't matter how long and usually it's either for large drug crimes, and now it's RICO, which they can take any little thing and say it was in furtherance of the conspiracy. So what's a conspiracy? You remember what we said. It's an agreement between two or more people and an act to do a criminal act, and then an act in furtherance of that conspiracy. They have a motto in the Rolling 60s, and the motto is, you not 60s until you smoke one. You know what that means, to smoke on your ops? We've talked about that. Imagine wanting to be part of an organization that has a motto basically saying, you ain't a real one unless you backdoor and kill your brother. Example, what happened to Nipsey Hussle and, Sandman Niggas. The amount of fame and clout Nipsey brought to them only for a tweaked out J-Cat from his hood to kill him. Oh, that's from the Boy Mess, whoever that is. And some of this stuff is just put together by our team here, and we're really trying to highlight, and what I'm trying to do is highlight the dangers of being in a gang and the dangers of not building a good life.
It's not even almost, it's straight up embarrassing. Looking at the way the black male is so hungry for attention that he's literally willing to give away, sacrifice his freedom in the name of getting people to pay attention to him. I don't know if it's the fatherless homes. I don't know if it's just the fact that some people feel like they're invisible and nobody sees them. But everything I say, just like everything Bruce Rivers was saying, is no longer directed at the lost or the mentally and spiritually dead. These messages that we're giving are only useful for the living. All they can be used for is to attempt to deter someone who is already or who is heading down a path that will lead them to the outcome of Big U. And, I don't know about Brick Baby or any of these guys, but they might be headed down that same path. All we can use this information to do is to try to turn these people around. I mean, they are literally dragging people out of prison who are serving 20 and 30-year sentences and allegedly using them as witnesses against their friends, men they once called brothers. Imagine being a man who's doing 30 years. You did 10 on a 30-year sentence. And the feds come and say, hey, man, maybe we can cut your sentence short. You'll be out in the next 2 to 3 years. If you give us information about past crimes that have been committed, that may or may not have been committed by Big U and Big U Enterprises. I mean, it's a situation where all you can feel if you are African American growing up in this section, this area, is pure secondhand embarrassment. I mean, when you really look at this stuff in context, I don't think anyone could righteously defend these guys, whether it be the actual crimes that they allegedly committed or just how stupid they were to not walk away from this stuff the minute they saw a way out or the minute a way out presented itself. I mean, you're not even following the leader at this point. You're following the guy who became the leader because the leader died. So you're following a follower, expecting him to lead you to something better than what the leader who died was able to lead you to. I don't like it. For our people, it's not a good look. There's nothing in this case, in this situation, that is salvageable, in my opinion. And I see people, Whack 100 snitching and da-da-da-da-da-da. And Whack 100 could sing like a stool pigeon. And in everything he would tell would be nothing compared to the things that these feds and stuff have exposed, even before you knew who a Whack 100 was, even before you knew what a no jumper was. These guys allegedly were literally career criminals, and they weren't smart criminals. They were so dumb, in fact, that as they saw people going down around them, it never occurred to them, hey man, maybe it's time to go legit. Instead, they put on this mask of legitimacy while allegedly continuing to participate in the same criminal activities. It just shook me, man. It didn't even shake me, but it just really made me hang my head, man. I mean, when you think that Nipsey Hussle's death, the death of Rayshawn Williams, These guys came on the back end of this sinking ship that's called Big U, and that is Big U Enterprises, and the co-conspirators in this RICO indictment. Nipsey Hussle didn't have to die. Whether he died or not, this guy was going down. And it's almost like these people, they know that their time is short and that inevitably the walls will close in on them. And it just feels like they're just taking down everyone they can along with them. I just hope that not only the children who are coming up in those areas, even my area, who are looking at this stuff on social media, I really hope that you guys are watching this stuff and seeing it for what it really is. But even more so, I hope that the ignorant adults who glorify this type of stuff, consume this stuff for entertainment, and feel empowered by this nonsense. I really hope you'll never do it. Obviously, I know you're smooth brain lemmings. You'll never do it. But I really hope that maybe those of you who have the ability to change, those of you who have the ability to receive new information and apply it to your life in a beneficial way, I really hope you guys see that there's only one outcome for this type of stuff. You've been watching the movies and the drug boss and the guy who was the big bully in the hood, he comes out on top. Man, you and I both know that those days are long gone, if they ever even existed. We watch movies from dudes doing the same stuff in the 1970s and 60s. And how did that end for them? People way smarter than Big Eugene or, any of these guys involved. And how did it end for them? Football numbers. Football numbers. It's so crazy the way the lawyer broke it down. It's like, guys, these guys were done from the get-go. These guys never had a chance, honestly. These guys were, even despite the alleged murders, some of the stuff that you would consider minor was enough to give these guys 20, 30 years in prison because it's all being lumped in with the RICO charges. So everything they did will be attached to the RICO indictment, and the law enforcement and the prosecutors will say it was all in the furtherance of this criminal enterprise. Man, I'm going to just tell you straight, don't be like Big Eugene, man. Don't be like Big Eugene. And even to you dudes who might be in the gang, you might be in the Rolling 60 Crips. You might be in the Harlem 30s or the Rolling 40 or wherever you're in. Dude, get your ass off your ass. Go get you a job and try to build a life. Because sometimes I think that the correction or the direction is lost. We cover the nonsense and we're at the point where we're not even finishing it off or concluding it with the most important aspect, which is the message behind all the commentary. To all you little dudes out there, you have a chance to save yourself. I would go even as far as to say dudes like 4 Extras and X4, you guys have a chance to save yourselves and get away from this nonsense. Move up out of LA. You don't got to be out there. Move somewhere nice where you can find you a good girl and make sweet love and have some beautiful children. Go to Africa, man. Do that. It's there. You can get a plane ticket. Get out of here. Don't be dumb like these so-called OGs. Boy, you know you got a rap sheet 50 miles long. Can you get a passport? Get the hell out of Dodge. You don't want to be a 58-year-old man looking at the news, finding out he's wanted, and then, I guess I'm going to go have to turn my cell phone over to massa. Didn't even have the Didn't even have the motivation to run. You think he don't know that they got his ass? Or is he just so dumb that he hears the word RICO and he thinks, I have a chance to beat this? Bro, you don't got a chance. One of the things the lawyer Bruce Rivers brought up was, these guys don't have any money. And if they do have a little bit of money, they don't have the resources that the federal government has. You're not able to be out and work or collect donations or go do crime to generate any revenue. So basically, at this point, it's your bank account versus the bank account of the federal government. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. It ain't looking like a win to me. Now, do I wish you were getting out? Only if you're innocent. Adam posted some free big baby. I said only if he's innocent. I'll tell you I said that. People talking about free big you. Yep, only if he's innocent. Because if you're talking about freeing him, even though he's maybe guilty, all you're advocating is to release more parasites and degenerates back into our community to prey on our families and our children. Our young boys who might be in a rough spot in their life, who might need guidance and might find it from the dudes from the wrong side of the tracks. I mean, let's be honest. You know, I honestly hope and pray that these guys get whatever they deserve. If that's innocence and a not guilty verdict, I hope they get that. If that's, you know, if they're guilty and they get the guilty verdict, I pray that they get that. Because until we restore some type of accountability back to our community, we're doomed. We're doomed. And honestly, there are some people who are so messed up and so mentally deranged who are walking around like normal people that they want to see the world burn. And in this case, our community is the world. They want to see this community go up in flames. Because if this community disintegrates or destroys itself, that will make them feel like they're not the only ones who are messed up. When in reality, we know that most likely they're more messed up than all the rest of us. We know that. I just don't understand what's the benefit of defending these people. I don't understand what's the benefit of even wishing or hoping that these people don't go to jail. I'm not hoping that they do go to jail, but I'm also not hoping that they don't go to jail. I don't really care, honestly. But what I care about is these kids, the youth, the generations coming up, because my daughter, my nephews, my cousins, they're teenagers. They're all a part of this. And as we know with this gang violence stuff, at any given moment, they could be victims. At any given moment, they can be made victims by these kids who are lost and who are finding what they believe is guidance in these different gangs around the LA area and even in other states and other communities. So I hope that justice is served, but I hope that when you watch that video with Bruce Rivers, I hope it helped you see the futility of all of this stuff. You might enjoy the money for a little while, but there's really no chance of growth in this theater, in this environment. Because even if you do manage to get a little something or squeeze a little blood out of the turnip, guess what? You're constantly going to be having to worry, constantly going to have to be looking over your shoulder and hoping and praying that either your ops don't come and get you or the feds don't come knocking at your door. I hope I hope we're not too far gone to get the message, the real value out of these videos. Thank you so much for watching this. I appreciate every single thing you do. Until the next time, peace.